Thank you for listening to Late Night Riders Episode 7. I'm your host, Kristen Foles, filling in for my daughter, Gretchen. It was such an honor to sit down today with my mom, CEO and founder of RAMM Horse Fencing Stalls, Debbie Disbrow. Here with me now is Lucas Pitzenbarger. He is our website and online store manager. Hi, Lucas.
Hey. So we all know modern technology impacts our lives more and more every day. So in this episode, we discuss different ways to get back to your roots. Horses definitely have a unique way of bringing out our inner calm and have even been linked to improving a child's intelligence. The connection and energy you share with horses teaches invaluable life lessons that really can't be taught digitally.
Later, we trot on to Canter Banter, where I am joined by my sister Mindy and her children to ask them what makes life fun. I ask my sister how she balances daily activities with 3 children, all under 8. So please enjoy. Hi everyone, how are we doing today?
Hey Kristen.
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So today, I don't know if anybody knows, but Debbie's credentials is what we're going to be talking about, as well as child's intelligence, one of the articles that she wrote. And the credentials of her are, we always call Dad the innovator. Mm-hmm. And then as I was thinking about it, I'm like, you're the author. You have written so many articles. Lucas, can you talk about what we would find on the web?
I mean, there's an endless trail of articles written by Debbie, from our blog to our website.
Ask Debbie.
Ask Debbie, yep, that's been in the past, where she'll answer any email questions or anything.
A lot.
Magazines.
Yeah, from the very beginning. Yeah, we started off with writing the, we started off actually with like a trifold flyer, actually, to begin with, and then went to like a newspaper type of informational, newspaper that we sent out, and then we went to articles and wrote for magazines and all kinds of copy.
I mean, you're deep into the hundreds of articles written. Like
for years.
Probably thousands.
Years.
Yeah, you have to be getting
a long time. But
and
anyway,
speaking about that,
hard to remember.
The very first thing that I found you published in was I was looking through old things in the trunk.
Yeah.
And I found your poems that you had written for high school, and I saw you published in that.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I think really it was really funny. In school, I wasn't the best student, and I really didn't care for...
I don't believe that.
I wasn't.
Either. No, I was. I had to work so hard, for any kind of a grade whatsoever. But my junior year in high school, there was a wonderful teacher, Mrs. Hutchinson, who just brought out everything inside of us having to do with English. So it was words and sentence structures, and then also writing. So, of course, in high school, this was way back when, they inspired you to want to write poems. So we just started to write these poems, and then all of this, just started coming out. Kids are sometimes everything just pours out. So that information, my parents brought it up to a couple of different people who thought it was potentially something that would be good, and there was like a young writers group
like
or
a
whatever.
guild?
Yeah. Yep. So anyway, then there were a couple of things that were put out there, and then life just started to get kind of busy, and went on with life, and ended up starting writing for RAMM Fence then after that. So
and
for
journals.
the company.
We will have many journals to read over what we did in our lives, good, bad, and indifferent.
Everything. So anybody, if you want to journal, I started when I was really young, and I just started to write about what was going on in life, and some people had said to me, I don't know if I would really want to do that, because later on in life things change. But I just thought that's a history of us. It's okay. It's all right. Mm-hmm. So I have lots of journals that I've written that are tied up in little bows and things sitting on shelves that the kids are going to get one day. They're probably going to be like, "Why did you leave this to us?"
Yeah, your footprints have been left everywhere.
Yeah,
yes,
trying to leave a footprint of some sort. But anyway, yep. So that's how it kind of started, and that's where it's come to, a lot of writing.
So we picked out an article that we thought was really interesting for this day and age, and you have an interesting perspective on how you were able to write this, because you're going from, we have such age gaps between all of us. So even as your daughter, I'm your oldest, and between me and Mikey, there are 9 years.
Yeah.
And Mindy's in the middle of that.
Yep.
And then I had my children when I was younger. And I have 19, or she's 20 now, and 23.
Yep.
And then my
Granddaughters.
sister has my nieces and nephew. They are ages 8,
Yeah, I
7.
see how I'm like a grandmother now. 8,
And
7, and almost
4, but
4.
she'd really like to be
She'd
6.
like to be 6, exactly. So, yep.
So
all
you
these
have a good
ages-
perspective on writing this article, and it's about the child's intelligence and what writing does for children.
So I just think, first of all, it's so important, I think, that as equestrians that we would introduce children and their parents to horses. I feel like we're seeing somewhat of a decrease of children riding and so forth. And I just think that there's so much benefit in riding. So when I started to do a little bit of research on it, I found out quite a bit of information on how riding horses really makes a big difference with children and their development level. And I just feel that even if a child isn't able to perhaps maybe have their own horse, that if they get to be able to go to a barn and work with horses, the benefit is just is great. So I have to kind of go back to my article and look at my notes, but actually there was a study that was shown about riding horses, that it enhances memory, learning, and problem solving for children and adults both. So as old as I am, I still feel like I learn so much. I never stop learning when I'm around my horses. So it's a wonderful thing. It's just such a good benefit. The other thing that I know that there was a research that was done by scientists at Tokyo University of Agriculture, and they found out that the vibrations produced by horses while being ridden and during those activities actually stimulates a part of our brain, which is the sympathetic nervous system. And it actually is so helpful to us. So even, for example, like children that therapeutic riding, if children get on horses, it simulates walking when children can't walk. And then it also simulates for children that, can be active and so forth, though, hits that part of the brain really makes a big difference with, the sympathetic part of the brain, and the development changes with them. So they've seen, big differences from this. I think it's wonderful to know that you can just get on a horse or get out on a horse and ride, and that it makes that big of a difference in a child's life. So
let me ask you a question then, Debbie. So from a perspective of someone who's maybe concerned with the safety of their children in riding horses, what's the risk versus value in teaching your children to ride a horse?
So, the thing that I think is most important is we as equestrians who have our horses, that anytime a new rider gets onto a horse, that we want to really be sure that they understand the safety aspects of it. And so with children with horses, showing them beforehand how to be careful around the horse, what to do, what not to do, where to stand, where not to stand, giving them all of that basics is so important. And that right there alone even starts to teach them to listen, to be respectful of the person that's talking. And if they don't, and I don't mean this, we can tell them you could get hurt, if you don't pay attention. So the big thing is that we're teaching them life lessons in order to pay attention, so that you understand what to do, so that you will be safe. So we start right there with that. So I think most importantly is that the person who is working with that child or that person, that first time rider, gives them the baseline of what they need to know around those horses to make it a safe and fun experience.
So the stages of play that you saw in us when we were younger, and we got horses, I think I was 6 years old when we got horses. You had horses previous, but after you were married and had me, then at about 6 years old, we started with the Western riding. And at that time, I don't even know if Atari was out yet. So that Atari was.
No,
Lucas is laughing. He's like, Atari?
No, it was not
I played
at that
Atari.
time.
Did you play Atari?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
This was
Centipede
before
and
that.
Frogger and
Okay.
all that.
So Atari was my first, game experience, and we just really we were jealous of the kids in the neighborhood who had Atari, because we did not.
We didn't always have the latest.
No, and funny enough, my dad owned an electronics store, and we were the last ones to get everything.
That's pretty ironic.
I know.
It's good for them.
That's
really
what they were
for
doing.
them.
They were making things good for us.
That's right.
So Atari, and then when Mikey was probably about the same age, around 6-ish, a little bit older, then we had Nintendo that came, the Wii.
That's right.
And, watching him play those games a little bit here and there. Yeah. But we lived out on a farm, so he was outside mostly. He loved to be around the pond and, anything to do with nature. He's still that way. And then, now we're into Xbox, and what's the latest and greatest?
The Xbox? There's Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
What's the best one now?
Those are probably the top two.
The top two.
Yeah.
We just have a Wii, so I don't know.
Yeah. Nintendo's kind of its own section, I think.
Okay.
So, my thoughts is that I think that there's a place and a time for that, which is really good, because I know everything that the children do, there's, technology now, where they learn about computers and so forth. And of course, we live in an age of technology. They need to
now
know.
the littlest ones have iPads and they play on phones, and it's a completely different thing than just a, gaming system on the TV.
Well, I'm sure. What was your age when you got your first phone?
Oh.
It was just one of the flip phones, and not even a flip phone.
Just a few months ago.
But
No, I'm just
Can
kidding.
you put some minutes on it, please?
No.
No. Yeah. And I think I was 23.
23.
23. Mm-hmm.
And so I got my first phone when I was probably around 12, 13.
Oh,
and there was a flip phone as well with the minutes on it, the track phones.
Yeah.
Wow.
But you have to think now, what kids are getting phones handed to them at 2, 3.
Yes.
Like, play this game, but they're
watch a show. I need you to be quiet.
So there's positives and negatives to both sides, because
there are.
You have access to the internet and trivia games and all these other learning devices.
Absolutely.
But at the same time, it's limiting you from nature and being outside. So finding a way to split that difference.
I think balance is the key. If you know that your children are, you just know that they're spending more time on these devices and things like that. If there's any way that they can do something where they get outside and play, I know they don't want to sometimes, but coming up with some little creative ideas to get them outside. But then again, we go back to the horses. It's one of those things where if you can go visit a horse farm, or if you have your barn, you encourage those children to go out with you, be it that you're feeding horses, whatever the case may be. Because the other side of it is that when you're giving them instructions, they need to follow the instructions. They, are also doing things where they're lifting buckets or hay or whatever, which is good for them physically, in even just development that way. I mean, they gain strength. The fresh air just does such a good thing for everybody, and then just being around the horses. I think everybody knows that after you've been out in the barn with the horses for just a little bit, you come back in and you just feel so relaxed. Well, there's also research that's been done that the horses also produce such an energy flow that surrounds them, that when you're actually around those horses, and I'm sorry I don't have a specific reference to go to this, but that you start to though pick up like on that horse's energy, and your heartbeat can even follow and mimic the horse's heart rate because of the energy. But what it does is it's just so calming. So very, very calming. And I think for any child or children that also you're looking for something to where maybe they played on the digital games and they get a little wound up. If you take them out to the barn, they have to listen to what you're saying and then follow instructions. And I think just the whole realm of the barn, the energy of the horses and so forth makes such a big difference of them becoming relaxed and just life lessons, I mean, the hard part about being in the barn, the sides of it, where maybe they see foals that are born, raised, they see life. The other hard side was, even with you kids, we had horses for a long, long time and kept them, until they were quite old. There's a time when, they pass on. Yeah. So they learn life lessons too that they can deal with
The kids on the school bus all saw life lessons with two horses that liked each other.
Go on.
Yeah, they were kind of sweethearts, so
They
we
were
won't go into that. But Kristen
wanna
wants
know.
to bring
Come
that.
on.
It was really,
No, we don't
it was
wanna
really
get-
embarrassing.
Kristen can talk
Yeah.
about that if
Listeners
she
wanna
wants
know.
to. Horses can be sweethearts.
We will leave it to their
sometimes.
imagination, but yes,
Yeah,
all
well,
those kids on the
Yeah,
school
they're
bus.
very happy with
I
each
tried.
other. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they were, but those are the things that you learn. The whole school bus might, or maybe you with
Yeah.
just your friends, But those are the life lessons that are learned as
Talk
well.
about
too.
embarrassing, though.
So, yeah.
But
I
that
think
was good for
Kristen-
me to be humbled. It was okay. I needed that.
I think so. And then, it's just life,
Yeah.
it's just life. And if our children need to understand that's not just a screen, it's not just push a button, it's so much more than that. And they can gain so much through, like I said, being in my other good side is that, there are specific chores, and cleaning a stall. It takes some time and effort, takes some patience, some practice. But how long can a child just stick with maybe cleaning that stall, or even an adult? I've heard many of my friends say that when they're cleaning the stall, it's when they have time to just think, and it's just that time where it's just yeah. So how often do the children get that even? So I think that's very important as well. I'm trying to think of what else.
I would say, like, as kids that we had chores, I felt like sometimes they were maybe your horses. We had some of our own horses sometimes, but, they were, when I was younger, it was, you had this passion, and I don't know how much I would have, my dad came from the city. I think I was more city oriented. And so, chores were important. We had a lot to learn, and there were times that we didn't get to do school functions, because we had to do chores. And when you get older, you appreciate those things. You don't appreciate them at the time. No, I'm sure I gave you a lot of grief over those things,
all right.
but and now the passion has now become mine too. It's important to me, where I never thought I would have the passion for the horses that I do now, but it did. And it's very calming. And your barn is one of the cleanest barns I've ever seen. The kids, when they come over, that's one of the first things she does is if you want to be with the horses, you get to clean first.
Yep. Feed her clean.
Feed her clean.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the two. Or and it sounds funny too. We have some little chickens as well, and the kids love the chickens. And, just standing and letting them look at the chickens or get the eggs. And, then they can take those eggs and then they can eat those eggs. It's just learning that, just little life lessons and things like that are so good. But,
and to see them in this busy, busy world, sit down and watch a horse, or sit down and look at the chickens, and just take a break from all of that. They can be in a wild mood, and then you take them out there, and there is something so calming about that.
I think the other side is that if there's anything in the way of, I know children do a lot of sports now, travel sports. That's a lot. I know parents are busy on weekends and weekdays with the sports and things like that, which is wonderful. But I also know too that if there's any time that can be spent with horses, say they do even some small horse shows, small things, they will learn like camaraderie with other people their own age. Perhaps if somebody forgets something, oh, here, you can borrow mine or whatever, or somebody goes into that class and there's first, second, third place and participation ribbon. I mean, when we were little, we were thrilled if we got a green ribbon. It was a participation ribbon. We were thrilled, though, because we had earned it. So there's a lot to be earned for the places of just small shows, even that, a little bit of work, a little bit of time with your horse or whatever, and that bond that you have with them, you can gain a lot, and even for the children, or even myself, when I didn't get the ribbon, the kids that all said, hey, you did a good job, my 4-H leader, whoever would say, you did a good job, and you gave it the oomph, the go, you got out there. Those are the things that help a child grow up well and strong, so that they don't have to run into things later on in life where it's like hits them so hard that they didn't get exactly what they wanted.
So let me ask you this then. So say like an inner city kid who has interest or passion in riding or learning how to ride, or just has interest in horses in general, what kind of advice would you give to them to even, get their feet in the water, get started? Where's the first step?
Well, I think that first of all, I don't know who that child would be able to speak with, but if they could find out about their local 4-H group, it might be something where they could even get involved. 4-H has things that children can do, even in the way of, like, be it sewing, plants, canning. I'm trying to think of all the other different things. There's so many things. Everybody probably out there saying a million different things, that a child could get into.
Cooking.
But when you even get involved in that, if you get to go to a county fair, if they're able to do that, they would see the livestock and so forth. And then even just saying that, if they're at an age where they could ask someone, how can I get involved in 4-H? Is there someone that has some animals that I could even see to look at? That's one way. So the other way would be is that inner city is tough because sometimes they don't always have the people to reach out to. But even if the teachers hear the children speaking, that they could find a farm maybe where that child could go and experience some of the hands-on working. Fill up some water buckets, fill up the buckets in the stall, whatever the case may be. So my thought is for little ones, oh my goodness, the teachers, the coaches, the 4-H leaders, the whoever's out there around the children. Inner city's a little tougher because I think sometimes the country isn't in the city, but just to tell those children that there are things out there that they can get involved with. And so just by starting somewhere and having someone, notice that, getting them involved somewhere in 4-H or whatever the case may be, could get them started into some kind of a whatever it is that they enjoy the most, but it helps them so much.
And if 4-H isn't an option, I mean, if it's a passion inside of you, you will find a way to make this happen. So there are books, plenty of books. Well, you can Google anything anymore. Yeah.
Right.
But the more you learn about the horses, by the time that you're able to get a job, you have a car, you will find a barn. You will have all of the knowledge because you've read or you've looked at things, before you go off and go on that journey. I'm telling you, horse people are, they're passionate. It's different than anything.
Debbie, you have a horse book?
Oh yeah, I have lots of horse books. So even thinking about from the standpoint of, children in school, we're going to go kind of regress a little bit, but then if they can get into the library and they are able to use a computer, they can start to look up horses, they can look up animals, they can start to learn their resources from that, and then from there go out further to find where their passion lies as they get a little older, and follow that passion and get into animals. And that my hope and desire is that for the people, the adults that have the horses, the animals, that you find just a person, be it, a family, a little family that has children, come on out, visit us, come see our horses, or someone from an association that they're with, a group or whatever, and they know of somebody that would not have a chance to do this, that they would just offer to say, come out and see the horses that we have or whatever. That way it starts to grow. But if we don't do this, I think we're really losing something that is so important, an important part of children's, growing up. Because majority of people that I've talked to who have, were younger and got involved with animals and from the beginning taught with knowledge to be able to know how to be safe and so forth, grew up with that and loved it, loved the experiences that they had.
We have a lot of people working for us that have horses or have been around horses, showed, and that you can tell there's something about them. I mean, they have learned those lessons in the barn. So
very much so. Yeah, and we know that as equestrians, those of you that are listening, some of our best lessons are learned in the barn. Sometimes it's when it's by ourselves, or sometimes when it's with other people or someone that has taught us that's better than us. That's how we've learned. And what a wonderful thing to offer to a child that maybe doesn't have parents that have time to be able to spend with them, or whatever it is, if a little family that would like to see horses.
And so horses aren't the only thing that kids can do. I mean, there's music. What did you do when you were in school, Lucas?
I mean, I played sports as well. Or I was big into art, sports, art, music.
Were you involved in anything else? in school besides the you had horses?
Trying to think. I had horses from the time I was 5. I mean, at show and tell, I took my horse to school because I wanted to. First time I took my saddle in to show and tell about my saddle. The second time, my teacher let me ride my horse over, and I did show and tell with my horse. Rode my horse back home. I mean, I was just passionate about horses. So, I'm trying to think of what else. I can't think of anything else
the flute.
Other than I did. Yep, music, and then
and your writing,
and then writing. Actually learning how to write as I got older, and really kind of that teacher. Here's a person who just started something with me. Bless her heart, and never really knew probably what it ended up being one day that I'd be writing more than what I am and so forth. That just sparked that little spark that started, that grew into something more. So, so much that children can do other than just the digital thing too. So
yeah, you have to utilize both your left brain and your right brain. Spark that creativity in your life. Yeah. Get outside, be active, or learn about what you want to learn about.
Yeah.
And the parents find out too. I think sometimes our parents can get in such a rut, and just to get outside a little bit and get in the fresh air with their children, take the children out or go someplace and go see something like that. It helps the parents too. It's good for them as well. So, it's good all the way around.
So we picked one article that we really enjoyed because of this day and age that we're in right now. Are there other articles that you did that you enjoyed writing?
So this one was called Horse Riding Could Improve Your Child's Intelligence, which we know it can. There was another one that we did like not too long ago. Was it a few years ago? It was about Miss Mert. Miss Mert was an 80.
It was her 80th birthday.
An 80-year-old list woman that wanted to ride again at our Great Oak Openings Metro Park. And you had talked to her daughter that was talking about that it was a bucket list item that Miss Mert had that she wanted to ride again because she was a rider. She was a good rider. And so we wrote about that adventure for her birthday that she got to ride her horse. She did one last time and went to the park.
She was the sweetest thing. So if you look that article up, she was dressed to the hilt, ready to get. She hopped on that horse and she just took off.
She rode.
I want to be like that when I'm 80.
Me too. I do too as well. I mean, there's several different. I'd love to invite people to read the articles that are on our website, right?
Horse blog.
Our horse blog. It's all on the. All right. Okay. Yep. On the website, you can find it under yourhorsefarm.com.
That's our horse blog.
And then several articles are there. And then,
and those are now written by contributors. So I would say that the bulk of everything that you've done is probably 90 to 95% all the way through until this last year, where we've started to have some contributors to help you, which has probably been a relief for you. But at the same time, you're still writing.
I am writing a lot. In fact, an awfully lot, yes. So I'm still writing articles. I write for a magazine, and then, I've written for other magazines in the past and so forth. And then still write for the company, our copy for the company, anything that's in our catalog or farm and barn planning guides and so forth. And then, who knows? Maybe later on I'll be able to write something else, maybe a good book or two. So yeah,
I'm sure you will.
Not going to let the cat out of the bag just yet. So,
well, with that, we will be taking a short break. When we get back, we will go into our next segment, Canter Banter.
Do you love horses and live the equestrian lifestyle? Be sure to check out our brand new blog at www.yourhorsefarm.com. We publish 3 posts per week and feature a free printable equine checklist every month. Yourhorsefarm.com is a great equine online resource, so be sure to share with all the horse lovers in your life. And remember, laugh much and ride often. Our next segment, Canter Banter, is brought to you by RAMM Horse Fencing Stalls, the one-stop shop for your horse farm. RAMM is family-owned and operated and has been in business for over 30 years. We welcome you to call in and speak with an expert about your next project today at 866-653-8984. Again, that's 866-653-8984.
And we're back, and I'm here with my sister Mindy and her 3 kids, and my mom, who the kids call Baca. Myself, they call Aunt Kiki. I'm Kristen. And who do we have here?
Charlie.
And how old are you?
8.
And you?
Naomi.
And how old are you?
7.
And Anna? How old are you?
3.
You're 3, almost 4.
So my birthday comes up in March.
That's right. So you just came back from school. School's done. What was your favorite part of today? Did you have gym class or?
I had library, which I liked because I got a book that I have always wanted, and like one time at school there was this place in the library where you could buy books, and it was in there, but now it's in the library you can read with, so I got that book.
What book is that?
Darth Vader and his son.
Really cool. What about you, Naomi?
I liked that we did art today.
You had art today. Nice. What'd you do in art?
Like we had a white paper and we had a crayon and we had to draw snowflakes, and then there were these like ice cubes and they were different colors, and we could put that over and then you could see it.
Ooh, that sounds really cool. Anna, did you have school today?
Come over here for a minute. Can
What'd you
tell
do at
everyone?
school today? You have to
here.
talk in the
Come
microphone.
right here. Come talk.
Did you have a craft or did you color today?
No,
What book did you read? Do you remember? We read it in the car too.
yes, it's called
Chicka, chicka.
I remember that.
Is it
one.
Chicka Chicka Boom Boom?
It is.
Nice.
And what did you make at school today?
I made it for a coconut tree.
That's
nice.
right. A
coconut
coconut tree.
So, if I had to ask you, Anna, what would you like to do better? Would you like to take a walk? Would you like to read a book?
Take a walk.
You'd like to take a walk. And what about you, Charlie? You're cracking your fingers.
I know.
What would you like to do, Charlie? Would you like to take a walk, read a good book, or ride a bike? If you had your choice.
Ride a bike.
Ride a bike? And what about you, Nene?
Ride a bike.
Ride a bike. Favorite things to do. So, if you could tell me, what's your favorite horse?
My favorite horse. Little Miss Muffin.
Little Miss Muffin.
Dandy.
Anna, who's
Who's
your
your favorite horse?
Grayson.
Grayson. He's a big horse. He's not a little horse, right?
Only Miss Muffin is.
Miss Muffin's a little horse.
Yeah. And I'm bigger than Miss Muffin. I'm bigger than her and Mimi.
So, video games seem to be the big thing now, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
For me. Yes.
For you. And Mindy, how do you balance the time with screen time, video games, and doing activities with the kids?
I try to keep them really busy. I'm not a big fan of all of the video games and a lot of screen time. So we do a lot of outside activities. We are able to be up on Lake Erie a lot, and we get to walk the beach there. We have a Oak Openings Park right here that we go to. We just went there yesterday and walked around the Mallard Lake and played on the playground. Do you want them? Hold on. Losing my train of thought here. Can you hear?
Yes.
Anna, what do you like about being on Lake Erie? On the water?
I like swimming.
Swimming? And Naomi, what do you like about it?
I like to.
Glass or pretty colored glass or rocks or
I like the
shells
sea
or
glass, and I like to play with the sand.
Nice.
Nice.
The thing I like about it is, when it was in December and I would go out and I have a, what was it?
In December?
Yeah, when I was at Eric's. What was it?
What did you do? The rollerblades?
No,
Or-
I had the thing. The
I-
railroad.
Oh, the
Yeah.
spike from it came up, washed up on the beach from the lake.
And
Railroad
Like a railroad tie?
A spike, like the big nail, like a big spike.
Railroad spike.
and a lot of times ice forms on the beach, and then I start hitting it with the nail.
It's like a big giant nail. Yeah. Yeah, he has a lot of fun in the sand, and
Yeah,
right now there's a lot of ice
and also
snow.
in the summer when it was warm enough, me and Anna we would get back, and then whenever waves would come, we just let go and let us wash inshore. We kept doing that for a little while.
But I do give them time, because I know even at school they do a lot with different educational sites online and have laptops that they use at school. They have little Nintendo DSs that were your girls.
Yeah.
And so they have a few little games on there, but it's something that I try not to do too much of that with them. I think it's better for them to be in the fresh air and active, and we're actually, speaking of being active, we're actually on our way to gymnastics and ninja tonight. And that's another thing that the kids are really enjoying right now, and it's great that they get to be so active during these cold months, especially. Soon Charlie will start in soccer and then baseball after that, and just have a lot of fun things we try to do.
What's your favorite? Go ahead,
Do you
Mom.
guys like to play outside?
Yes. Yes.
Do you like to be out by the horses?
Mhm. Yes.
What's your favorite thing about being at the barn?
Seeing all the horses.
What about the chickens? Do you guys like the chickens?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we were at Baka's new house, we would go into the chicken coop and we would try to pick them up.
And you get, what would you get it from the?
And we would also get eggs
Yep.
too.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. And do you remember taking little Miss Muffin with her wagon?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that, Anna, when we took little Miss Muffin in her wagon?
We have to do
And
that
drove her
again as soon as
around?
the weather
Yeah.
gets warm.
Around
Yep.
here.
Yeah.
I like that.
We sure do.
We went around like 2 times.
Quite a few times. And then
Uh-huh.
at the house,
Mm-hmm.
went around the yard. Yep.
Yeah, we try to get out as much as we can with the horses too. There's a lot to juggle.
There is. And speaking of that, I know you guys are on your way. You guys have to go to your appointment for your gymnastics and ninja. So we hope you enjoyed listening to our podcast and encourage you to share with all of your equestrian family and friends. You can tune into Late Night Riders podcast show every Friday night. Each episode will be uploaded exclusively on YouTube, where you can subscribe to our channel and stay up to date with all of our latest shows. Do you have a topic you'd like to discuss? We want to hear from you. You may email us at podcast@ramfence.com or feel free to leave a comment below. Thank you again for listening.